Black cisgender heterosexual identified men are killing Black trans women. Black ones.
We are not talking about it in the church.
Those street guys are already engineers. If they're mixing drugs and stuff together, they're chemical engineers.
If you're just like, yeah, let's kill 50 cops just because, that's only a fraction of the Black people that they killed. Wait, now you're talking about my wife.
For those of you who are joining in, we are talking about just the housing in the Black community and owning property, why it's important, and how to get yourself in there.
When I think of financial literacy, I just don't think of the classroom work. I think some of it is practical application.
I'm scared, especially, calling them to arms, talking about poll workers or poll watchers. That is rooted in history of voter suppression and intimidation.
Joe Biden needs to make that a part of his educational platform.
Call that shit out.
I don't see much value in you speaking in tongues, and yet when you speak in English, you don't say nothing for my people.
Many of the reasons why we're dying is because of the conditions we live under that cause our health to be so bad, and that cause it's the food, it's the water, it's clean that shit up first.
When their fathers had prostate cancer, I had like a 150% chance of getting cancer, being diagnosed with cancer. I had a friend that did a raw vegan diet, 20 years remission, had thyroid cancer, never had surgery. I'm like, that's what I'm doing.
This week in Black People Shit, Politics and Shit. I'm your host, Chrystee Pharris. Now that we're only 3 weeks away from the 2020 presidential elections, it seems like politics has taken center stage on every platform available. From last week's vice presidential debate, where a fly was all the talk on social media, to a Brexit rally at the White House that didn't have the turnout it expected, to voting being talked about at the NBA Finals. As usual, to talk about all of these topics and more, I have with me actress and virtual high school reunion party starter Janora McDuffie and writer and retired lighting director Abdul Majid. Let me bring everybody in. Add to the stream. Hey!
Hey, your audio's off, Janora.
There you go.
Hey, here I am.
Hey, everybody. I'm so happy to see all of you guys. You guys brighten up my life. And all of you out there who are watching, I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share it now. And if you want to get on the conversation, just join us in the chat because we love to hear from you. So, Joseph said, good evening, Chrystee. Yay. We got a little love over here. And then, hey, y'all. So let's just jump on in to this crazy stuff that's been happening all week long. I couldn't wait to talk about this. But last Wednesday, Kamala Harris and Mike Pence had their vice presidential debate, and a fly seemed to have stolen the show. Other than the fly, what were your takeaways from the debate? We'll start with you, Janora, since you are in love with Miss Harris.
I am, and I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Abdul, I'm saving that for you. This is my warm up. Senator Harris, I'm speaking as in I am owning my space in the room, and I'm tired of men running over us. And so I thought it was just the kindest way that she could be like, I'm talking, y'all, and I got stuff to say. And it's really a fine line that women have to go through, especially Black women, when it comes to being assertive and passionate, because they are so quick to call us a bitch or an angry Black woman, especially if you are a woman of color. So I think it is a hard line to tote, but I think she did it well. And it's impossible to not give some faces, and that was giving me life in addition to the fly. So I thought she owned her space. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I get so frustrated because people have already chosen their sides. So if you ride with Harris, then the things that you see, yay. If you ride with Pence, then you're going to look at Harris and feel and point out all the things that she did wrong and all the things your candidate did right. I work to listen and really not be jaded. So sure, both had points, but you know whose tally side ended up with the majority in a non-biased way. It was definitely Kamala Harris in my book.
All right. How about you, Abdul?
I think Kamala did a really good job. I think she won the debate. I think what the
Say that again, Abdul. Wait, I didn't hear you say that again.
I think she won the debate. I think she did a good job. Like I'm not against her. She'll probably dump us after they win the election, but it's a whole other conversation.
Did you see that meme that came out that said that? Yeah.
But I think she won the debate. I think she was answering the questions, and I think Pence avoided every topic, avoided every question, really didn't get to the heart of it. There was a couple times where I think that he got a couple good jabs in there, but the overall debate, I think she won. And I think what the campaign wanted her to do was just hold the line. And if she could tie with him or it came out even, they considered it a victory. And I think she won because he kept interrupting her, which I have heard the narrative that, actually, never mind. I'm not even gonna get into that. But
well, now we want to know what you're gonna say.
Like I heard the narrative that he was interrupting her because she was a woman and she was black, and I'm just like, I've watched enough debates in my lifetime to know that they all do that to everybody at every point. Like if Trump, Biden wasn't a black woman, and Trump was all on his ass. And if you go to the previous, when they all got together in the bigger scheme of it, when they were all debating it out, they were knocking each other's heads off left and right. So I think that's just the game. So I don't think it had to do with her being a woman or her being black. That's just the game. And it was done in Reagan. When Reagan did it, it was done when Clinton did it. It was done with, like it's always done. So I don't know if that's that. I know they're trying to push that narrative, and they're trying to push that narrative because of the times we live in,
right?
And everything that's going on. But I'm not sure if that's the case. But then again, I'm a man, so what do I know?
Let's just say hello to you, Sam. Thank you for joining us today. Kendra, we want to say thank you for joining us. So, I mean, there's such a fine line. Like, I'm a woman, so I've seen people do this. I was watching right afterwards. I watched CNN, and I watched a couple of men do that to the only woman that was on that platform. And then she tried to make she actually did a good job, but she made a little joke about it. Like, reclaiming my time, but she used something that Kamala said. What was it?
I'm speaking.
Yes, that's exactly. Thank you. So I do believe that men do that a lot, but you're right. They do it to men as well. It just seems so, I don't know, maybe because I'm a black woman, I've seen it happen so many times to a certain degree. But I thought she did a great job. The fly had me rolling on the ground.
The memes with the fly had me rolling.
Wait, did you guys see that they started a Twitter account, and in a matter of like minutes, I mean, it had thousands of followers. It was hilarious. Yeah. So
social media is fast, man. Social media works fast.
Yes, and social media wins again.
Yeah. So creative. I like the flies. Pence's only black friend.
Yes. That was a funny one. And then also, I don't know if you guys are watching the whole thing with Amy. What's her last name? Forgive me for not knowing her last name. The judge that's trying to get the judge position. She had a fly on her.
Amy Barrett, I think it is.
Amy Barrett. Yeah. So I was falling out because she had a fly on her too, and they went ham on that. So
is there any Chrystee, is there any part in the debate where you thought,
I'm like, what is this? This has to be spam, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, probably. Is there any part in the debate where you thought that Kamala really did a good job? And is there any part in the debate, you or Janora, where you thought that Pence was like, got her?
She definitely got him when she talked about, I'm the only one on this stage who's ever prosecuted anyone. But he also got her when he brought up how many that Black people were going to jail under her, reign or whatever, that she prosecuted a lot of Black people, which is true.
It was true and false. She didn't, but when she was the AG of California, the people under her did.
Correct.
So she has to take the hit on that one.
Right. And I thought that was one of them points that I was like, ooh, gotcha. gotcha. You're like, I didn't like that, but I do believe that it's true. And the other thing I think he got her on was the whole fracking thing, because she did say, you know, that she supported that, and now she's saying that she didn't, and she should. I think what she could have done was say, hey, listen, I did believe in that, but I have retracted, and I'm joining, you know, I'm joining with Joe Biden. I stand with him, and that's why I'm not going to support that. So I think that was the other thing that she could have, and I think she could have attacked him a little bit more like she did Joe Biden. She didn't do that. You know, she didn't do that during the Pence debate.
I think there's a reason, though. I think the reason is, I'm sorry, I just want to answer that question, Janora.
Yeah.
I think the reason is I think Biden's campaign might have told her to pull it back a little bit.
I'm sure they did. Don't be the angry black woman, because she is on a larger platform that has to do with Republicans, and that's the first thing they're going to look at.
I think that if she really went full Kamala on him, and I mean this, I think she probably would have outshined Biden. I think she would if she really went in, she would outshine his performance. And then there would have been this all backlash of your vice president is more presidential than blah, 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 blah.
That's a good point. That's a good point. What were we going to say, Janora?
That's a good point. I wanted to shout out Kendra O'Neill Phillips, who came with the point that Kamala brought home or brought to Pence. And that is, if you want to throw it up there, when she said, your prez is in debt, he owes somebody money. Oh, yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
I forgotten about that one.
Yes.
That was an excellent point. And going back to the whole prosecutor part, I think Pence definitely knew that was her Achilles heel in terms of the area that Black folks aren't fully are still a bit skeptical. But I would love
the key word is not fond of. I think the word you were trying to say was not fond of.
Not fond of.
I think that's the word you're missing. Yes.
But somebody had a quote that said, in a debate, you answer the questions you want to answer, not the question that's asked.
Yeah.
So I think Pence was king of that. And I thought some of her strongest points was attacking the poor, pitiful ass job that the current administration is doing with handling COVID. And that is what started this whole debate. She came out strong.
Healthcare too. She did a really good job with healthcare.
Yes.
As well.
Yes. Let me see. Let's see. Mr. Spencer. Hey, so good to see you. It's my position. The interpretations are simply interruptions. You know, I can't read. I need my glasses, y'all. And I got the screen like really small instead of large. It's my position. The interruptions are simply to disrupt and derail the information from a said party that said, I do believe Pence interrupted Senator Harris because he doesn't respect women in general, much more because she is a woman of color. Yeah.
Okay. So I agree with that on a philosophical level. I do believe that he doesn't respect women, and he respects her even less because she is a woman of color, a Black woman of color, however you want to define it. But I don't know, in this setting, it's like putting Mike Tyson in a boxing ring and he's punching you really hard and he's doing whatever he can to win. And you go, oh, he just doesn't like blah, blah, blah. Like, no, you're in a boxing ring and those are the rules.
Yeah. Right.
So everybody's going to adhere to those rules. I think Pence, as much as the dick I think he came across, as much as he didn't answer the question, as much as I think I'm against him philosophically in terms of a lot of things he has to agree with, I think in that context, he was just going with what the game is, as opposed to, and maybe the underlying part of it was, yes, she is a woman, and yes, she's Black, and yes, she's a Democrat, and yes, and yes, and yes, and yes. But I do think the bigger portion of it was, you're in a fight, and he was fighting.
Yeah. I just think everybody is got some issues, and I pray the Lord that we don't do another 4 years, because I really don't think that my soul can take it. So we're gonna move on to I
was thinking, have you looked at any of the numbers? Like, the numbers have Trump
They
administration down He's down like 12
That's what
points.
they say. I don't trust it. I don't trust anything until it's all said and done.
Now one poll, my
Mhm.
favorite after 4 years ago when the poll said Hillary Clinton was going to win and she didn't. So ever since then, and my feelings got hurt, I don't trust the polls. And then with everything going on with voting,
I mean, even Al Gore won. I mean, you know what I mean? And
Al Gore did win. Al Gore actually won.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But he didn't. But he, so yeah, no, no, I haven't been watching the polls. Okay, wait. So that actually brings me to a point when you're talking about the polls, because I guess across the country, Republicans have been putting up these little ballot boxes where you can put your ballots in, which were illegal. It was not, approved for them to do it. So I'm curious to know what's going to happen to all of those ballots that were in there. Are they actually going to be counted? Did they take and do something with them? What is that whole thing about? Go ahead.
I mean, if it's a fake box, ain't nothing gonna happen to them. Maybe they'll burn them,
right?
Or throw them in the ocean, use them as toilet paper. Who knows what happens? But already shenanigans have been rearing their ugly head to throw this election to not be true. And I think that on so many levels, this goes back to the whole need for the Voting Rights Act, this new system to protect the voter and the vote,
right.
Which goes back to the Supreme Court. Like going back to Kamala today, she did. Today was her day to interview Amy Barrett, and she came with it. And specifically, she did talk about voting rights, and she did specifically ask, "Do you think that there is voting discrimination?" And she couldn't answer it, or she didn't answer it. It was one of those.
She didn't answer any of the questions.
No. So it's just frustrating. So the fake poll boxes show that stuff's going on, and it becomes scary when we know that we as voters and our vote isn't fully protected or uplifted. And even the long lines are as a result of some of these voting rights laws being not anymore, right?
Yeah,
before, you might have had 20 polling places, but now that you don't have to adhere to certain voting rights rules, now you only got 2. So you're gonna have the third fake one now. And so the lines have been just long. So at first glance, you're just like, oh, this is so beautiful. Folks having long lines, showing that they have their civic duty that they're following through with. No, it shouldn't be like that. This is the United States of America. We should have a much cleaner system.
I mean, I had a friend of mine, Autumn Bailey, where she said she stood in line for 3 hours, and then 2 days later, it was a 6-hour wait time just to vote, because they only had 2 voting places, I think, in Cobb County, in Cobb County in Georgia, so right outside of Atlanta, which I think is just insane. But they're obviously doing it intentionally. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discrepancies going on with the mailman in Teaneck, New Jersey, who was dumping ballots, and he got caught trying to dump ballots, and he did it several times. And there's been stuff going on in I guess we'll talk about later with what comes to ex-felons and fees and things of that nature in Florida and things that's been going on and all these other places with regards to voting and mail-in ballots and things of that nature. So I think if I remember correctly, I don't know if it was 80s or the 90s. Maybe Tim Sanchez, who's in the chat room, can look it up for me. But there was a governor, I believe it was, or a senator back in the either 80s or the 90s, because I remember the video more than I remember the date it was, who said that when the people vote, he said they want voter suppression because when the people come out in masses, the Democrats tend to win. And when people hardly vote, the Republicans win. And he said this on stage in front of a crowd of people. And I can't remember this gentleman's name, but I remember his face distinctly when he was saying it, because I was watching it. I'm like, that's a crazy concept to know that you're going to lose if the people decide to come out and vote. And I think like to Janora's point, that we do have to reevaluate or reassess our voting places, because I mean, Tuesday in November to vote is, I think it should be a whole day. I think it should be a holiday. I think, you know, there should be a lot more done around it. I think that places like California deserves more. I think we should get rid of the electoral college altogether. That's just one part. But I do think that places like California, their opinion should stand more, because they have more population than damn near every other place in the country. Actually, except for maybe like Texas and seven other places. But they have more people. I mean, I think LA County has more people living there than every other place, every other state in the country, except for like 7 other states, 6 or 7 other states. So
yeah, there definitely has to be something new, some change. I'm sure in the next 4 years, something is going to change, because I don't think that they're going to be able to put up with this any longer, the way that they're doing things. I want to get to Kendra, because she is going ham in here. Yeah. She said, I don't trust polls. Nope. Get your tail to the precinct and vote in person if you can. She said, ballots must go through local board of elections. Amy equals the handmaid's tale. Long lines should not be normalized. She is going ham. I heard a similar stat to Abdul. And then Tim said the polls 4 years ago were right. The last general election poll had Hillary up 3%, and she ended up winning the popular vote by 2.1. And then Marlene said, they are definitely trying to suppress the vote. However, we can't be deterred. We must vote. Yeah. Thank you, Marlene.
So, but the way it works with the electoral colleges, I think we really, like places like Michigan and places like Wisconsin and places like Wyoming, and I think we need to, I don't know, I think we need to really look at those states differently now, because they are turning blue. I think the last poll that I saw had Trump winning everything except Texas. But then again, nobody trusts the polls because of what happened last time. But then again, what happened last time was a referendum on Obama. I think this time might be a referendum on Trump. Right. So, you know, like, who knows? And then I don't know, this time around is tricky. You can normally go by the polls and see which way everything is swinging, but
listen, I just need this to be over. I just need to know what the outcome is going to be, so I can move on with my brain capacity and my brain space.
It's stressful on many levels, not just like, are we going to have 4 more years of that
orange man,
or are we going to have a Biden Harris? It's shucks, not even who's going to win, but what is going to happen on that day, no matter who wins.
No matter who wins.
Like,
no matter who wins.
Are we going to have a
civil war?
A civil war. I didn't even want to say that either. Like, it's scary, especially up to this point where people aren't kind anymore, where people are so divided, but divided with hate versus just, I don't agree with you. It's, I don't agree with you. And shucks, I want to kidnap you and kill you.
I mean, literally, like, you know, there was also, besides the fact that the governor of Michigan had somebody plotting to kidnap her and kill her, but we also had somebody in Boston, I think it was a governor as well, where somebody broke into his house yesterday. Yeah. So yeah, and his kid, his children or child and the wife were home. So I mean, it's everywhere. I just think that there's a lot of stuff going on. Go ahead, Abdul.
But remember a while ago when the man, I believe the woman was like a circuit court judge, and some guy came to her house and killed her son, and shot the husband. The husband lived, but the son died. And then maybe a couple of years ago at a rally under even the Obama administration, the senator got shot in front of everybody outside, and she came back like paralyzed and what have you. I forgot what her name was.
Yeah, she got shot in the mouth.
Yeah, so I mean, like, this stuff has been it's usually on one particular side. I don't want to keep pointing fingers to a particular side, but the violence tends to come from a particular side. And it's just like you said, it's just getting worse and worse. And Trump's antics and the antics of the Republicans putting up with this stuff and all of this disinformation going around about what's going to happen if this person loses and if Trump loses, we're going to lose this and that and COVID and blah, blah, blah. And I think all that's fueling the fire to the point now that there might be a couple months of distress.
Right.
And violent distress because of what's going on.
Right. I want to move on.
I just have to push back. I do want it to keep going. Opposite of what you said, Chrystee, because you said you want it to be over. I don't. I think we need to be engaged more than we used to be. I think we have to constantly stay engaged in the process, and we can't just hope for something to happen once every 4 years. We need to keep their foot on their necks every day.
Right. And so my thing is that it's not that when I say that I'm ready to move on, my moving on is the anxiety that I have about what this election is going to be. And I'm ready to move on so I can get that out of my brain. Like, I'm just talking about the election.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's going to be still more stuff that we're going to have to continue doing. I mean, I know it made me change, made me think about doing things a lot differently. And really being more involved. Go ahead. And then we're going to move on to the next one.
And just made a lot of people pay attention to local politics just as much, which is important as well.
Right.
And that's a shout out to Bring Your Booty to the Polls. You guys saw that?
I did.
Pole dancers.
Strippers.
No, I missed that.
You didn't see Bring Your Booty to the Polls?
I did not see.
Oh man, the first 10 seconds was just like, oh, you about to watch me work the pole. But the key was going to the real poles, and then these dancers, these athletic women.
Strippers. Did you say strippers?
Can you send me the link and I'll post it so we can show it on here?
Totally. But these women afterward broke down why it was so important to show up at every level.
I love it.
It was great. I love it.
No, I'll show. I mean, is it super long? Because I'll show it right now. During the thing.
Keep talking, and I'll look at it and I'll tell you.
Okay, yeah, we might have to do that. Let me just get these two people in here. Think about how many days you lived before this presidency where you never thought about the White House. Yeah, that's true.
I'm a political junkie. I think about that stuff all the time.
I didn't. I can't lie.
I am. So everybody has a sport. Some people like football. Some people like basketball. I like politics. I just sort of cipher through all of the he says and she says and what's going on in legislation. I watch it all. I look at it all. I read it all. So it's all interesting to me.
So I am one of the ones that did not pay that much attention, but I do now because I have Abdul in my life and Tim in my life. So I am on top of it. So, okay. I don't know if you got a chance to get it, Janora. If not, then I'll jump to the next subject, but I don't want to say it without you knowing what I'm talking about on the next subject.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Oh, somebody sent it to me.
Oh, yeah.
I got it. Thank you.
Sir.
Let me see if I can. I know, but I can't. I don't know if I can copy and paste it though. That's the only problem.
Wow.
I don't know if I can copy and paste. We'll get it. I'll make sure that we get it and we try to show it before we get out of here. Okay, so on Saturday, a rally at the White House for Black Trump supporters received less fanfare than expected. An event which Candace Owens sponsored the travel to DC for her Blexit supporters, only had several hundred people attend the event. Is this a sign that more Black people are drinking the Trump Kool-Aid or less? Thank you, Spencer.
I think
see if I can find it. Go ahead.
More. I don't know. I think that there are more people. I think a lot of Black people are disinterested in politics altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So I think more people got interested in politics, or more people got interested in engaging in politics. So there is a level of more Black people being Trump supporters, but I don't think it's disproportionate to the amount of people who were against Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I just think there are more people engaged in the process now than they were before. But as for his rally and all the Brexit stuff and things of that nature, I don't know. I don't understand the mindset. I think we had a show a couple weeks ago, maybe with two Black Republicans and them talking about their reasoning for wanting to be Trump supporters or supporting Trump. And I don't think that they gave any, in my opinion, overall, like really just strong reasons. I just thought they thought the same way the Republicans think, where if we can get a guy to dismantle all of these regulations, then we can do better. And I don't think that's I don't think that's a complete view of who Trump is and what his campaign is and what he's willing to do or going to do to this country if he gets another 4 years.
Okay. I have the video just so you guys know.
I'm sending.
Go ahead, Janora. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I sent you the wrong one. My text skills are we got to get Tim to help behind the scenes.
Okay. Did you send it? Where did you send it?
I texted it to you. Is that where you'd like for me to send it to?
Yeah, you can text it. I just didn't get it.
Okay.
It's in a group text now.
I know, but she sent the wrong one. She told me not to use that one. You didn't send the new one. Oh, there it is. I got it. Go ahead.
All right, that's our program. So the whole Brexit, I don't think that the story is the turnout wasn't as big as they anticipated. I don't think that that's the story. And I think they did have a good amount of people there, but not, I'm sure, the March on Washington numbers that they probably were anticipating. I think the story should be a couple things. First, this was Trump's first event at the White House because he invited them to the White House after.
Yeah.
Because he was sick. So this is the first time you gonna peep your head out and it's to Black and brown people? How disrespectful or how dangerous, especially when it's us are the people in majority numbers that are dying. Yeah. So to me, I took offense to that. So again, remember, I try to balance both sides. Let me hear what these people are talking about. So I listened to some of the the speeches given, right? So it was Candace Owens. It was the brother that the cop that does a lot of Candace Owens type stuff. What's his name?
The guy, Sheriff something from Wisconsin.
Not him. On it. Either way, two other people. Larry Elder was one of them. The black cop. I'm so mad. Brandon Tatum. Listening to them, occasionally they would say something that would make sense, right? I'm not saying I am pro any of Trump, but what I'm saying is if you listen without Trump in the back of your mind, there are some points. However, so that was in the park, and then they invited them then that's when Trump invited them to the White House for the other part of the rally where he came out and spoke. He had not one bit of policy or fact. It was all his whole hype man, just full of fucking full of hot air. I'm so sorry. I'm not even drinking today and I'm cussing.
Look. The whole
thing is that I can get down with independent thought. I can get down with, okay, let me listen to what you have to say. But when you add Trump in the picture, I can't hear you anymore. And I'm trying, but I can't because I tried today and my ears bled. So it's kind of like I would love to host a show again, Chrystee, before the election. And let's talk about Black folks and Trump.
Yeah,
I do got a question for both of you guys in a second.
Yeah, I can't get past the personal, meaning I can't get past the things that he does to incite the hate, the things that he does that is very intentional towards Black people, but towards people in general. But I can't get past that. Now, if it was somebody else, I would be able to listen to him. But I cannot listen to somebody like Trump. It just does not work for me. So
let me ask you both a question. So, because I heard this the other day and I had to think about it myself. So if Trump decided to put the Republicans, Trump decided to put a bill together, an amendment that gave reparations to black people and gave black people everything they wanted. I'm talking everything from top to bottom, the things they wanted to happen for black people. And all you had to do in return, even with all this other stuff he was doing, the COVID stuff, the whatever, but he gave black people everything they wanted, would you vote for him?
Go ahead.
No, because you know what counts for me, and everybody's got a different scale of what matters to them. What matters to me is decency, kindness. All those things are important to me. Sure, they're soft things. Sure, they're fluffy things. It might not be policy, but that's important to me. And if I'm letting a son or daughter, niece or nephew look up to you as a leader, no, that's a whole bunch of bad humans that we're raising, and we're not doing that. So no, Abdul, fair question, but for me and the way that I live my life, no.
That is an interesting question, just because, you know, the Democrats never really give us anything that that we want. I mean, ever, really.
What are you talking about?
Meaning the simple fact that when you look at some of the things that happen, even when, and again, I'm an Obama fan, but he didn't do a lot of things for black people, you know? And so for me, I mean, that's a really good question. I couldn't vote for him just because I have enough faith in God that I feel like God is going to work the stuff out for me and I'm going to get what I need regardless. But I feel like that's playing with the devil. So no, I wouldn't take that up. But I think it's a very fair question. And Spencer said, he said, I'm telling mama for you swearing. And then he said, but I feel you. And then to answer your question, Abdul, no and never.
And see, that's the thing I had to think about. And I had to think about black people voting in their interests the same way everybody else votes in their interests. The Asians don't vote when it comes to collective voting. They don't vote in the same proportion that black Americans do, but they always get what they want because they negotiate and they know the power of their dollars and they know the power of what they do collectively will get exactly what they want. The Asians don't care if it's a Democrat or a Republican or an independent or a socialist or whomever in this country. They're negotiating on their best interests. I think the same thing about the Jewish community. Even though a lot of Jewish people vote liberal, I think they generally vote what's in their best interests. So why don't we collectively do the things to vote in our best interest and negotiate with who's ever in office? Like, why wouldn't you negotiate with whomever? I mean, I don't think that the king was willing to negotiate with whomever was in office in order to get the Civil Rights Act done. It happened that it was Kennedy, but he would have, if it was the Republicans or whatever, he would have negotiated with anybody.
That's interesting. Wait, go ahead and respond, Janora. Then I want to make sure that I show this video.
Oh, to get your booty to the pole.
Yeah. Because then we have our BPS, and I want to make sure she gets her time. So go ahead.
I mean, the Civil Rights Act that happened under Democratic president. So I don't know. I'm not a history major, but I do know that
LBJ signed it. Yep.
Right. So I think that was a harsh point, Chrystee, that I think there are several exceptions, and I will do some homework and bring them back to you to show you what the Democratic has.
Yeah, please.
For the American people. I mean, for me, he allowed me to get married, and just because it is an something that he signed, like for example, we have the Affordable Care Act that affects Black people, and so my frustration becomes when there's good things that happen, it's under the umbrella that Black folks fall under that is helpful. It doesn't have to be like just for Black people. If it's something good for society, Black folks are part of society. So I get so frustrated with but
That's not the way it works, because you're quoting Obama's "A rising tide lifts all boats."
I'm speaking, Abdul. I'm speaking.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
I was just dying to do that the whole time.
Yeah, I know.
And it was not, it was something else that was very important, or I was very passionate about. But
you're talking about it being for all society as a whole, as opposed to just
black people. And I think that the only point I was making, I apologize for cutting you off, Janora, but the only point that I was making was that black people in this country have been part of that rising tide at every turn. That rising tide, when Reagan was in charge, was called trickle-down economics. And every time we talk about the rising tide, we, the black people, are at the bottom of that tide, and we get the bits and pieces and the stuff that trickles down to everybody else. And I think that we have to negotiate on our best interests, regardless of who's in charge, and get what's best for us collectively, and worry about other people the way they worry about us.
I'm glad you said that, because that did remind me of the second point I was going to make, which was an answer to your question, because you were talking about like, oh, why do other people get it, we don't? And it was your point about the community and collaboration and collection, as in grassroots, let's get together. I think we have lost a bit of that. Yeah. And I think that's where the magic is. I mean, yes, magic is in the polls. Yes, put the right people in the right places, but also let's not forget what we can do as a community when we come together and ask for what we want. So I do agree with you in that way, Abdul, and I would love to figure out how to continue this whole grassroots movement more than just this moment that has started stirring the pot. I want it to continue to last.
I mean, I agree with you with the whole grassroots, and we have lost a lot of that. But I also think, I think there's a generation that got tired of doing that and feeling like every time they get something, they have to start all over because it's taken away. Or, I mean, I think about, the Tulsa riots and stuff like that, where they created their own community. They started that grassroots. They brought everybody together. I think back with my grandfather, who said when he bought his house, he bought two. And when he wanted to buy the rest of the block, they were like, hell to the no, we're not giving this to no Negro. They didn't say Negro, they used another word. And so I think when you have people who came from that energy, somehow or another it got lost, because I think they got tired of doing all that and then having it taken away or stolen away or burned away, or, so I'm not I mean, I'm sure that there's a way to get it back, but I think everybody just got to a place where if we all come together, I mean, it kind of reminds me of like when we were in school, in high school, all these white people would be together, when you at the school table, and nobody would say anything, but when a whole bunch of black people got together, y'all break it up. You know what I mean? It's like, if you get too many black people together, somehow or another, the person gets assassinated, it gets broken up, they get turned against, like the CIA was turned the NAACP and the other black organizations against each other. So I'm not saying that what you're saying is not correct. I just think that maybe everybody that generation before us got tired, you know what I mean? And got tired of trying to do all that and having it stripped away. So,
well, good thing we got a new generation, and good thing
we'll just get started.
Yep. Giving up's not an option. So we might get tired, but we gotta keep going.
All right, let me show this video before we move on to our BPS person of the week.
You are pulling that up. Hello, Dora. Hello, Latrice. Hello, Colleen and Renee.
Yeah, so here we go. This is the screen. Hold on, let me see. Here it is. Okay, here we go. Can y'all see it? Can y'all see it? Can you hear it?
No, I can't hear it.
Oh, I don't know how to turn it on.
It don't matter. I can see what I need to see. I'm just saying, they put it out there.
BPS, y'all. BPS.
Gotta love the scrippers.
Oh, you guys can't hear it. I hate that you can't hear it.
Oh.
Sorry, you guys. I'm failing.
You gotta unmute the volume in the video, actually.
No, the video is playing, but for some reason,
It won't mute in the.
usually when you do a screen share, you have to push a button in there, but for some reason, it didn't show up. It's not showing up as an option. So, but y'all saw it. There you go. It's in the chat box. Y'all can check it out if you decide you want.
But more important, whether you check it out or not, get your booty to the polls. I'm from North Carolina. My parents are watching. Hey, mom and dad. My dad said that they early voted yesterday. That's when it started. And I said, thank you for doing your civic duty. He said, no, I went to jail for this. So that definitely struck a chord and reminded me what people went through, fought for, went to jail for, got beat for, died for. Yep. We cannot take that in vain. Whether we believe somebody's still in these poll boxes or not, we have to show up, you guys.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. With that being said, we are going to jump to, that is so crazy to think about all those people who died or got beat up for it. Sorry. It's just a big, huge hit. But with all that being said, we are going to get to our BPS of the week. So this is our BPS of the week. I have to say, isn't she gorgeous? Our BPS person of the week is a Black woman who is changing the face of Mastery Brewery forever. Known as Detroit's Siren of Stout, Barb Baker has turned her passion for beer into a complete lifestyle. Having tasted her first beer in college, she went from becoming an ambassador for New York's Brooklyn Brewery to a vice president at Fermenta, a nonprofit devoted to empowering women in the beverage and food industry. She even makes beer at home in her spare time. So please welcome to the show, Barb Baker. Hey!
That was the greatest intro ever. Thank you. Thank you for letting me be here. This is awesome.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what you do, how you got started, why beer became your thing.
Well, let me tell you what I do, what I do now. I feel like I am a beer evangelist for women and people of color, because beer normally isn't advertised to us, women or people of color. So a lot of us don't think that we should go to the breweries. We don't think that we have a place in it. Even if we're thinking, I want to do that, or I want to do something in brewing. We don't do it because we don't see other people doing it, or we don't see ourselves there. So I'm going out and actively bringing Black women into our nonprofit to get our scholarships, to tell them we are here to support you. We want you to, if you want to get your Cicerone certification, which is basically like being a sommelier, we want to help you with scholarship money. We want to help you with books. We basically want to support you in any way, shape, or form. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm basically trying to be the beer evangelist to get Black folks into liking beer. I mean, and here's the thing, we do like beer. We invented beer. Just in case, we don't know that. Like, I think a lot of, usually a question is, well, why don't Black people or why don't Black women or whatever like beer? And I go, I think that we think it's not part of our culture. I think we think beer is white people shit and really white people shit. Because the first recipe was found 5,000 BC in Egypt. And beer is usually made by women. So women, people of color, started beer. Basically, us being in beer, we're just going back home.
Wow.
Do you think that one of the reasons why is because they promoted malt liquor to us for so long that when we think of beer, we think 40 ounces?
And the 40 ounce is such a terrible, terrible representation of beer because it's basically full of chemicals. Beer is 4 things: malt, hop, yeast, water. That's why you can make beer at home. You can, I come from a family that has made, my great-grandmother used to make hooch and a hope chest. My grandfather used to make stuff and pass it out to people. So it's organic. It can be vegan. It can be good for you. If you're if you're breastfeeding and let's say you're not having enough milk, you can drink a Guinness and it'll be helpful and healthy for you. There's so many great things about beer that you can do. I know I have a friend who said when he was younger and him and his sister were constipated, his mother would give them like just a little bit of beer and it would just push everything out. So it's good for you too.
Wow.
So you were right about the malt liquor thing though. I do think, yeah, we're kind of hung up on that, and it has such a and it has a bad connotation. People who are trying to get into craft beer don't want to get into malt liquor because they don't want to be associated with, it works every time. So I do get that too, and I think you're right about that.
Tangerine said that I used to drink 40 ounces in junior high school. Shake my head.
That makes sense, Tangerine.
Fact.
I did too. I mean, not in high school, but when I got to college, I mean, I think everybody does. Everybody tries Mad Dog 4040. Everybody tries Mickey's. You have to, and you have to start somewhere to get somewhere else. So I couldn't talk about craft beer eloquently if I didn't have Colt 45 at one point.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
What exactly is craft beer? Can you break that down?
Craft beer is basically micro beer. So macro beer is your Bud, your Coors, so your big your companies. Craft beer is small independent brewers making whatever they want, experimenting, just putting whatever they want in it. So that's basically, it's very simple. That's just what craft beer is. So if you're just a smaller entity, then you're making craft beer.
Okay.
It's interesting because I'm not a beer person, but I'm not an alcohol person either. I just don't like the taste. But I remember going to, I think I was in Germany. I remember being somewhere in Europe somewhere. It was Germany. And they had about 10 different taste of these different beers that had different flavors, like peach. And I was like, wow, this is fascinating. And there were a few that I was like, now, if they had this in the States, I could possibly be down with this right here. Because it actually did taste good.
Yeah, that sounds like I think it's called a Kolsch, where it's a Kolsch beer and then they put different flavors in it because a Kolsch is very mild. It's very most people would like it. It doesn't have a discernible hop flavor to it. It's just clean, carbonated, and because it's so light, you can put strawberry in it. You can put like an evergreen, an herbal essence in it, whatever you want, and it tastes like that. So I think that's what you had, and those taste really good.
Yeah, no, I thought they were great. Go ahead.
So how did you learn the craft of actually? Because I know did you go to University of Ohio, right? Ohio University.
Ohio University.
Did you learn how to do that there, or was it after you left there you decided to pick up the at
Ohio University, my major was sports broadcasting. So I have gone somewhere totally different. And basically when I was at Ohio is when I got into beer, because it was maybe my sophomore year. I was invited to a fraternity party, and you guys know, I mean, I don't know how old you guys, but when I was in college, the fraternities were segregated. So the Black people had their party somewhere, and they were usually at a college-sponsored place because we didn't have houses, and the white people had houses.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, so I was invited, me and my girls, all of us were invited to a fraternity party at a house. And we're all going together. We're all sticking together. We haven't been to one of these. We're going to stay safe. So we get there. And the first thing that I remember is when we showed up on the lawn and it was packed. The line was 3 blocks down. We show up. A guy gets on the front step and goes, "Hey, everybody, In Vogue is here." And my girls are like, okay. Because In Vogue was In Vogue at the time. So, and there were 4 of us. So we walked up, skipped the line, handed us the drinks, and at that party is when I had Heineken. It's the first time I've had that. And it was probably less about the beer and more about the feeling. It was we skipped this line, we came up to the front, they said that we were 4 women who we love, who we think are gorgeous and amazing singers. They keep handing us more alcohol without us having to go anywhere, and they keep telling us how great we are. I love beer. Everything around beer has been a great feeling, and that's why I just stay in it. It's just, I don't think I've had a bad feeling with beer. I've had a bad feeling with tequila, but not beer.
At that party, did you do like keg stands and play beer pong, or was that, or no?
Not at that point. We had to kind of get more comfortable and be invited to more things. No, that at that party, I remember us all standing four together. And the funny thing is we were all athletes and we're all pretty big women. I mean, I'm almost 6 feet tall. My girlfriend's 6'5". So we were like bigger than everybody, but we were literally like, and just sort of standing because we were like, we're not going to break this up. You know, we didn't trust anybody. I mean, you guys understand that. So we didn't do that then, but I have done a keg stand, or had since that time.
So let me ask you, as far as women, Black women getting into, you know, this type of field, is there a need? Is there like, oh, we really want more Black women to be a part of this? And how do they get involved?
There is a need because Black women always bring such a different element to everything we do. There's a Black woman in Harlem Brewing Company, and she's brewing with, I think her background is, or her ancestry is Ethiopian. So she's brewing with Ethiopian spices. She's brewing with different hops that are out of Africa. So we bring something different to this other culture. So that's why we are needed to be in here instead of like, and there's so many different styles and different varieties of beer, but until we came in and we started doing stuff, there's a guy in Texas, Kuma Smith, and his beer, it just has this blackness to it. I mean, I'm telling you, he makes it because he uses the Madagascan vanilla and he uses other stuff from it. He just does his own thing and it just tastes delicious. So we are needed in this industry.
Okay.
So we just have a different eye and we can bring it to this industry and really help it explode.
Wow. Can you shout out a couple of your favorite Black brew craft beers, or I don't know how you would say it, brew makers or craft, I don't know, favorite Black owned business regarding or related to beer?
Well, there is Kuma is our Black brewer at not Brew Detroit. Which one is it? I'm thinking of it. Kuma Smith. Hi, he's a brewer here in Detroit. Also, Marcus, I can't ever think of anybody's last name because I'm on the spot. Marcus, who is the head brewer at Weathered Souls, who actually put out the whole Black is Beautiful, the Black is Beautiful initiative, which he put out a recipe and the shirts to kind of so over 1,500 brewers took part of it, and they're giving all the proceeds to social justice. So bail relief and just anything.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. So shout out to you guys, and also Kuma Smith, who makes amazing beer as well, and he's in Texas. So
okay, so Kuma Smith, everybody, Kuma Smith. That's the Texas one. Everybody's asking, where is it in Texas?
yeah, he actually brews with, I think it's Martin House, because I'm not sure he puts it out himself. It's really, really hard to get your own brewery, and that's really where there's a disconnect. It seems like a couple guys just get out of college, and white guys get out of college, they'll start their brewery. And it seems like, we'll be brewing forever. We'll try to get capital. We can't get capital. We can't get the investments. And it's like, everyone's wondering, well, if you make good beer, that should be it. It's not about that at all. There are plenty of breweries who have been in business for years and they make terrible beer, but they were able to get capital.
Right.
So,
right.
So just one question. So earlier offline, we were talking about, we couldn't remember, we were talking about opportunity zones in Detroit where people were investing in real estate and things like that. Is it possible for people to be able to use opportunity zones to invest in a beer company in the Black community or in Texas or wherever it is? Is that like something that's possible?
I would think it is. I don't know all of the regulations around the opportunity zone thing. I don't know if when they're trying to do it, they're trying to make it, I don't want to say not positive, but not put liquor store bail. Yeah, because there's certain things that are in the Black community that you see: liquor store, gun store, liquor store, that sort of thing. So,
church, liquor store, and mortuaries. But go ahead.
There you go. So I don't know if they would see brewery as something different, or if they would see it as the church, liquor store, gun store thing. So I need to get more well versed on that. But it's a great initiative, and if more people could jump on it, we could use a Black-owned brewery in Detroit. I started going that way, especially when I started home brewing. I was like, that's what I really like to do. I'd like to do a nano brewery. And I haven't gotten to that point. Actually, when I started really going there, I had a baby. So I kind of got away from that. But yeah, I would love to be a part of being a woman-owned, Black-owned brewery here in Detroit. It would be phenomenal.
Well, somebody said, I want to invest. Help. So maybe she wants to invest. We could do it. Well, we want to, because we're going to wrap this up, but we want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I mean, our whole goal that we do, Abdul and Janora and I, we really want to expose Black people to things that they're just not familiar with, that they don't know. The other day, we had a 14-year-old person that was on here who was exposed to, what were we talking about that day, you guys? STEM. We're talking about STEM. And so this is another opportunity for people to go, oh, let's step out of the box and do something different. So thank you for sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, your time. Of course,
you guys have decent questions. Great questions.
Awesome sauce.
Can I ask, before we go, can I ask like two real simple questions?
Sure.
One, to anybody out there who wants to learn what you know about how to make beer and is there some place that they go to? And two, what is your social and all that stuff so anybody can get in contact with you for whatever they need?
My social on everything is Siren of Stout. So my website, sirenofstout.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram is Siren of Stout. So it's very easy. And how I learned, I did a lot of home learning. I mean, all these books back here aren't just for show. All of those at the top are brew books. And a lot of them came from Garrett Oliver, who is the head brewer at Brooklyn Brewery. He is a Black head brewer and is the greatest, friendliest guy ever. And I told him if I ever moved to New York, I would love to be his apprentice. So a lot of that stuff, you just do it on your own. It's basically like making a recipe. You find one, you just start, and it's trial and error. And that's kind of what I did. You just keep doing it until you become proficient at it.
Nice.
And is that what your blog covers as well? Do you walk folks through how to make it in your blog? Your blog?
I haven't really with the home brewing thing. I considered it, but I haven't. I kind of just talk about crazy situations I run into in bars or in the world, or so that's sort of on my Instagram. I just talk about beers that I love and ones that people, and kind of do reviews of what people like. Like earlier, Abdul was talking about what's a good beer for beginners. So, like a good beer would be like a lager because it's clean, it's refreshing, it doesn't have a hop. So I kind of do that on my Instagram, and I kind of do that more on my site. But that's actually a good idea. Thank you, Janora.
Well, again, I want to give a shout out to Janora because she was the one who suggested to have Barb on the show, which, as she does with a lot of our guests, which is amazing. She has a great group of women and men who are fantabulous, that are like all across the board. So a big shout out to Janora for bringing you on. We put your sirenofstout.com. Thank you, Tiffany, because I guess I did not put the .com in there. But so thank you for that. Is there any lasting words that you would like to say?
Me?
Yes, to leave them.
You know what? It's even going into beer, it's whatever you feel your heart is taking you. Just do it. There are so many things I've done where when I started going into it, people would go, you can't do that. That's what white people do. And it's like, no, it isn't. My mother told me, wherever you go, you belong. So you go. And that's what I would tell everybody. Wherever you go, you belong. You go.
Good stuff.
I love it. Anything you want to say, Janora, before we head out?
Oh, truly appreciate you being here, Barb. Appreciate the fiery conversation leading up to Barb. Just another happy Wednesday to everybody, and thank you all who joined us as you do week to week. Going down in the comments.
Yes, Abdul.
No. Thank you, Barb, for participating today, and great conversation as always.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you to our sisters who join us every week. Karen Ward Ross and our Tangerine. She cracks me up. She always has something to say. Okay, now everybody's trying to throw a whole bunch of stuff right here. I mean, This is going crazy. So I'm just going to post a couple of these so people can see that people loved you. And we're going to say goodnight because we are over our time. Thank you again. We will see you guys next week. Same time, same place. Have a good night. This week in Black People Shit.
Later.